So this session, I want to talk about common responses to loss. And one of the, originally somebody articulated this as stages of grief. But the word stages gives a feeling of like progress, like I'm in stage one, I'm in stage two, I'm in stage three. And the reality is we can bounce all over the place. And grief can hit us at different times in different ways. And it's not a nice, smooth journey. It can be very bumpy. And depending on your circumstances and just a lot of different things, you can hit some of these stages or skip some of them altogether. But I want to talk about this because I think it gives it's very helpful looking at the kids we work with and just thinking about how are they responding right now and how can we help them where they are. So of course the first response to grief, especially when it's a very significant loss, is really just it's shock. It's life, all of a sudden life feels like it's a dream. You're constantly rerunning it over in your brain, and there's almost a feeling like I might wake up and this might just been a dream. I remember when we totaled our car and we actually life flighted one of our kids out of that accident. Just driving through intersections, Grace's arm would suddenly hurt, and of course every intersection for me, I was the one that actually missed the red light, but for me was looking to make sure nobody else was missing a red light, and that feeling of life just being really fragile in the moment. Of course, lots of crying, and that's all a normal response to a significant loss in life. So that initial response was what we would call shock, or it's a very difficult thing in the moment. And a person who's going through grief in that moment, they just need reassurance that we're there. There's really not any words that you can say that other than I'm here, it's okay, and lots of physical, hugs, and just holding there and sitting beside them and just listening as they are processing what just happened. The next response, or another response to grief, is what we call denial, and this is where you're running in your brain. Maybe I heard wrong. It wasn't really that bad, and you're either minimizing it or it can be like almost like, oh, this is all a dream. I'm just going to wake up. It's going to be gone, or all kinds of things are around that, rather than accepting the reality. And one of the things that a person in denial needs is that reassurance that they're going to make it through, but they also need to be communicated clearly with that this is what happened. And so when somebody dies, they say it's really important to say, so and so died, versus so and so is no longer with us, or they're gone. All those kinds of words still leave that doubt, and we need to begin the closure part. So it's very important to communicate clearly what's happened so that they can begin to grieve. The next response is a fix-it response, where they're trying to figure out how they can fix it, and rather than just accepting the new reality, they're trying to fix it, they're trying to make a deal, they're trying to, dad says, we have a new job, I need to move, we're gonna be moving, and the child's trying to figure out how to change things so that they don't move, and they're trying to fix something that just can't be fixed. They're trying to make it better. And the reality is when we experience a loss, we can't make it better. It is something that's permanent. The next response is anger. And anger can go in a whole lot of different directions. You can be angry at yourself because you didn't do something, and there's that feeling of I caused the loss, so I'm angry at myself. You can be angry at other people, at those who caused the loss, and you can even be angry at the person or the thing that you lost. And that is all a normal response. And in the middle of someone dealing with grief, it's okay for them to be angry. They should be angry because they've lost something that's really special. At some point in the healing process, they are going to need to forgive in order to heal and move on, and we'll be talking about that. But initially, anger is a good response because it means now they really are accepting the reality of what's happened and the significance of what has happened. Another common response to grief is medicating it. It might be binge watching Netflix, it might be food, there's all those maybe not so bad things in our book, responses of medicating, but it can be drugs, it can be alcohol, it can be porn, but it's using something to soothe the pain rather than it just embracing the loss. And we want to make sure when we're comforting somebody who's experienced loss that we're not just medicating their pain, but we're actually helping them walk through that. Another response to grief is depression, where the person just loses all interest in life. Food that they like, they're no longer excited about eating. They're not excited about eating at all. They just want to sleep. They're sad. They don't want to see their friends. They don't want to do anything. And that's a very real response to grief. And as we help young people work through grief, often we see the depression just start to go away because now they're able to face the pain. And often the depression is actually just shutting down that feeling of I don't want to love again, I don't want to get excited again because I don't want to get disappointed again. And so it's a type of escape so that I don't experience this pain again. And so there's a lot that we'll be talking about a little bit later as far as how to help a child process their loss so they don't have to medicate it, so they don't have to get stuck in grief, and so that they can face the pain and begin to heal.